really gave you certification for manhood, and you kept hearing. You heard it in the dressing room. You heard it as an athlete. You heard it hanging around at school, and so it's easy for a teenager to begin to recognize. A teenager, I heard this when I was like 6 and 7. 6 and 7 years old. You're hearing it, exposed to it. It becomes a part of you. It's the norm. Everybody's doing it. You don't think anything's wrong with it. It's acceptable, provided you don't mess up and have a baby. Well, what happens? How did that get in there? How did it start? It started with the words and the images, created a thought, and if that thing ever conceived, it gave birth to sin. And I tell you, if something doesn't happen to interrupt that process, you're on your way to death. So it all starts with what you're exposed to. And that's the question today. What are you exposed to? What are you giving your attention to? What's being exposed to you often? What have you not dealt with? What if you stuck in the booth in the back in the corner in the dark and you just declared, well, it's okay, I don't need to deal with this thing, and yet it's sitting in an incubator somewhere growing and growing and growing while you're perfecting phoniness at church and not dealing with that thing that needs to be dealt with? What are you looking at and giving your attention to on your computer? Are you spending more time with pornography than you are with Jesus? Are you spending more time lusting at women at lunchtime than you are reading your Bible? What are you doing that's causing this desire to remain? What, you want me to tell you what I'm doing now? I'm telling you how it starts, because it's coming through your ear. Here's what all God is saying is, here's what I want you to do. I want you to attend to my word. I want you to give your attention to my word. I want you to give your attention to my words, because I want you to build boundaries around your life. I want you to understand the importance of these boundaries that you have to build around your life. I want you to understand that you've got to make some decisions to know what's going in your ears and know what's going through your eyes and know what's going through your heart. You got to get that word in. You got to guard your heart with all diligence, because out of it flows the issues of life. You got to watch what you're saying. Are you hearing and being exposed to images long enough until eventually you start saying the same things you've been hearing and the same things you have been seeing? He says you got to stay focused. Turn not to the right hand nor to the left hand. You got to stay focused. He says it's going to require this in order to get out and to stay out of this situation. So, let's look at the 10-step freedom plan from fornication. What am I going to have to do now to remain free from fornication? Because even though you're in church, there's some young lady who has spotted you out, and she believes that God told her that you are hers, and she's going to use everything she can use to try to get you. Even if it means she got to give something up to try to trap you, she's going to do something to try to get your good-looking, fine self. And you, on the other hand, you ain't got to be gotten, but you really enjoy somebody pursuing you to try to get you and to be willing to give up whatever they need to get up to give you. And then y'all going to meet in the lobby, you know, eye contact. You ain't doing the bounce back. You doing that. You're supposed to be bouncing back, but you doing all that. And it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good, because we're not talking about safe sex anymore. We're talking about saving sex. Not safe sex. We're talking about saving sex. Step number one to this freedom plan from fornication. Here's the step number one. Please listen to this very carefully. Step number one, you got to have a desire to be free. This is so important, because you know what? Here's what step number one says. It says you have to want it. You got to want it more than I want it. You got to want it more than God wants it. You got to want to be free. Until you come to the point in your life where you have a desire not to commit fornication, and that you love yourself enough, and that you respect yourself enough, and that you don't want to take any chances of having a kid come in without a father being there, and you don't want to take any chances of being 1 out of 4 that's contracted some STD. You don't want to take a chance of being a part of that huge percentage of people that are being diagnosed every year with HIV or AIDS. You don't want to. You got to have some. You got to have a reason. You got to find a reason greater than yourself to want to stay out of fornication. There's got to be enough respect for a woman to say, no, I don't do that. And the husband, or your person you're dating says, well, if you don't do it, then I'm not interested in seeing you anymore. And then you think, well,